Steve Merrill's back to break down the best games in college football for this week. We've got Miami and Florida State getting together as one of the great rivalries in college football. Of course, you can catch Steve's complete work at wagertalk.com, the NFL, college football, and the NBA. Steve, we've got Florida State, Miami getting together, and I've got to say that this point spread surprises me. Even though Florida State's at home, they're a 14.5-point favorite against a Miami team that has gone on a roller coaster. Of course, at 6-3 straight up, but certainly has played mostly very close games.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this might end up being a public dog this week. I'll have to check, the consensus data as we get closer. But I think on the surface, you're right. The public might be jumping in, taking the 14.5, because obviously that's such a key number. Once you're getting above 2 touchdowns there and extra points, 14.5 kind of entices people in. But I was surprised when I ran my database simulation, 10,000 games on average has Florida State winning this game by 20 points. So I do actually think there's still value with Florida State. I would have liked to got it at 14 or less. We'll see if it hits that key number. It really could depend on which way the public plays this game. It's a mid-afternoon game at 3:30 Eastern. Opened as high as 15, 14.5 at most spots, but there are some major books in Vegas and around the world that are down to 14 now by midweek. So at 14 or less, I think we are getting some value with Florida State, as once again my simulation projects a 20-point win. And something else that's interesting, Mark, last week some of the sports books had odds to make the playoff, the 14 playoff. And this is before, Oregon beat USC or Georgia played or Ohio State played. Before any of those teams remained undefeated. Going into last week, Florida State had the best odds of any team in the country to be in the 14 playoff, even though they were, fourth overall in the polls. They were at like minus 250, I think, because that's how easy their schedule is from here on out. They've got North Alabama next week and then at Florida to finish off. So this is maybe the most dangerous game remaining other than that Florida game, obviously. But I think they come focused. I think they come to play. And their defense actually looked pretty good last week. I know Pittsburgh's challenged offensively, so I'm not going to read too much into allowing just 7. But over the last 5 weeks, they've given up 17 points or less in 4 of those 5 games. It does look like the D is getting better as the season goes on. Miami is obviously a step up in class, but as you mentioned, they've been very inconsistent. And you do have to wonder, after putting up just 6 points against NC State, if maybe some of the wind has left those sails. That was also a very tough spot last week after back-to-back overtime near wins against Clemson and Virginia. I guess they were due for a letdown. The question becomes, do they bounce back? This is a Miami team that's still just 1-4 against the spread their last 5. And now with 3 losses, I think Florida State's going to win this one by more than 2 touchdowns.
Check out Steve's segments with us across all the team channels here at the Voice of College Football. And 18-5 should get your attention. Steve is 18-5 against the spread in the games that you can only get here at the Voice of College Football, exclusive to us. We appreciate Steve's under-the-radar selections here. Get those as a main channel member right here on YouTube or patreon.com/MarkRogersTV. Steve, thanks for breaking things down for us.
Thanks, Mark.